So on the compliance side, they are looking right now. The regulators are looking pretty lightly. They're not very strict, right? Not very process yet. Do you think that's going to change? Or
No, I don't agree.
Okay.
So
for BCBS, maybe, but for CCAR they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I would say that the exams are detailed and thorough, and they're more thorough every year. I think there was a change when the BCBS239 principles came out. If you look at the type of questions that were asked before, it seemed like the regulators weren't really sure what they were asking for.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know what data governance should look like. They were drawing a lot on accounting. They always referenced accounting-like controls and SOX, references to SOX-type processes and documentation. Once BCBS 239 came out, that has quickly become their playbook that they've adopted. But I would say that they are pretty meticulous and detailed. But they get more detail each year. An example this year is working with one institution. They addressed M&Q data quality issues. They have stood up data governance organization, have quite thorough data quality processes around their M&Q data now. This year's exam said, great, we think you're on the right track with M&Q. Now we're going to look at the data you're using in your models. And that was something of a blind spot for that institution, as it is, I think, for many institutions, which is often the data that's used by finance and in the M&Q submissions is different to the data that's being used in the models. And so, we see you talk about the evolution of where the regulators are looking. You got M&Q sorted out, that's great. Now let's see how you're governing the data that goes into your models. And so that's going to be another set of data, an extension of their data governance processes to another domain of data.
So do you see the awareness in the clients that they think that they're going to be more aggressive in the execution?
Yeah, I think that's impossible to miss. Every consultant will advise that every time I read any article, it's about, this is a marathon, not a sprint, and so on. So I think you'd have to be really ill-advised not to understand that at this stage.
So what do you think about those in the smaller banks, and do they understand those? They need to be run as a program and continuously doing these things?
You're starting to understand that it is. I think one of their issues is the size of them, right? And that they don't necessarily have the formal governance offices that the larger organizations have. And I think that's where you do see a struggle with them in guidance of how do they set up that community or in that committee. Where does ownership typically lie for certain areas? And you do look at the smaller organizations, they do look for a lot more guidance in how are our larger customers leveraging Collibra for BCBS and for CCAR in order to kind of model themselves after that, besides bringing in, obviously, consultancies to advise them as well.
Yeah, for smaller institutions especially, they don't have the resources that a Bank of America or Wells Fargo might have, where they can put 50, 100, 200 people on an effort quickly, because that's what they need to do. You go to a small institution, even maybe finding 10 people or 20 people, that's a real stretch for them. And so I think something like the Collibra capability out of the box of an operating model, of the workflows, of the issue management processes, roles and responsibilities, is really valuable as an accelerator, reducing the amount of resources they need, the amount of effort and time and cost, and also helping to minimize the amount of professional services they might need to help implement something, because that's already been done and proven, and so they can take advantage of it.
I think that's another key focus too when you look at it. Besides just people, it's also a cost on the smaller bank side, where they don't necessarily, like you said, on the larger organizations, they'll throw 50, 100 million at the problem to solve it. These smaller organizations don't have that capital to do that as well, and they're looking for efficient ways to solve it and cost-efficient ways.
It's recognizing the complexity of the issue. So it doesn't mean it's any less of a burden for a smaller bank, but they're typically less complex. You can implement much more quickly, and you can use more out of the box type of solutions, because you don't have the legacy and the scale that the big banks have.